for the housekeeping staff. Next morning, dig the van out because it's covered with 5 feet of snow, and the snow is starting to abate. Great. We get onto the interstate, and we go 60 miles into Pennsylvania, and the van stops running on I-80. It just quits.
Dead.
Now we're on an interstate that's covered with snow, on the berm, truckers flying by us, cars passing without changing lanes. We wait for 2.5 hours, and the princess finds a tow truck eventually, after my credit card company let me down with their roadside assistance. So the guy shows up for $100. He tows the van to the next exit, gives us a good auto repair store, which is of course closed because everything's shut down for the blizzard. Take the Uber. Well, the Uber driver shows up and he says, habla español. He doesn't speak English, which is so. Diana's working on her LA Spanish. I'm trying to use my Argentinian Spanish. And eventually we start communicating with the guy. It was pretty
That's beautiful.
Pretty funny. We go to Wilkes Bar and rent a car and then get back to Cleveland.
What about all those books?
Well, they sat there at the car repair shop for about 4 days. And I was calling, and the secretary said, "Oh, Bob's going to get to it. He's going to get to it." Yeah. And I said, "Just let me know what the problem is." I thought the engine was shot. Now, apparently what happened is when I lodged it into the snowbank, avoiding the head-on collision, the fuel line became loosened.
Ooh.
And then separated. So the engine didn't die. It was just not getting fuel. It was unhappy. And Bob doesn't even call me up with a report. On the 5th day, the secretary calls me up and says, "Okay, the van's ready." And I'm like, "Well, how much money?"
Bring your checkbook. The van's ready.
I'm thinking $3,000-$4,000. What, they rescued the motor. Oh no, it's $550. Okay, great.
Not bad.
So a week later, Jerry and I got into my car and went and rescued it, and the weather had calmed down, so I was able to fulfill the 2 other Philadelphia area appointments.
Did those gigs. Good.
And those books really crammed into the van, and I got home. So,
but you never had the Chinese food.
Didn't, and I regret that because I love grilled octopus.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. Thank God nobody got hurt.
And the van's still running.
The van's running.
Yeah.
And when we come back after this short break, I will tell you about a story I took in that old van.
Welcome back to Book Brothers, episode 9. I'm Michael Zubal.
And I'm Tom Zubal. And that was quite a story, quite a tale. We've, between the two of us, we probably logged, I don't know, hundreds of thousands, millions of miles of road mileage, picking up books around the country.
Probably close to 1 million.
Yeah,
over the years. I've only been doing it for about 40 years.
Right, and I've only been doing it for about 20 years. But yeah, it's a really fun business. It's unique in that we get to meet all sorts of interesting people, usually really intelligent people, usually really sometimes eccentric people. Right?
Absolutely. Oh, one footnote to my New York episode. The last lady, when I was getting her books out of the west side of Manhattan, right before we parted ways, I said to her, "You don't have a New York accent. Are you from Cleveland or where are you from?" She said, "Oh no," and she kind of blushed, and she said, "I grew up in Berkeley."
Yeah.
And I said, "You were in Berkeley in the 60s as a young person?" And she really grinned and she said, "Oh yeah, I went to the Hungry Eye in San Francisco and hung out and we did all sorts of stuff."
Sure,
I was like, "Well, I want to talk to you."
She probably met Jerry and all those people.
It was very cool. Very
nice.
cool. Yeah.
Well, when you got back with the van, a couple of weeks later, Lori and I got in the van and we had to travel out to St. Louis or St. Louis. Which one is it?
Depends on what side of the tracks you're from.
We went to St. Louis, City of Blues.
Nice.
And we got a call because a former customer of ours and a really good guy, a physicist, had passed on, and his wife knew that he and I were in correspondence over the years, and so he had a wonderful physics collection and also some books on railroading and other things that were interesting. And so I said, you know what, I'm getting a little tired of not being on the road. Let's get on the road.
Heck yeah.
And so we got in the van and we drove out, stopped in Indianapolis, which is a really up-and-coming town now. It's getting gentrified around the town there. We had a beautiful evening there. And we moved on to St. Louis, and we showed up at the woman's house, and I thought we were going to do the misery of going in the basement and hauling out the boxes. And the woman's wonderful. She's lovely. She meets us at the garage. She opens the garage, and boom, there's 60 beautifully packed boxes of books in the garage. She said, "Oh yeah, I had a high school kid come over here and haul all these up. I paid him a few bucks." I said, "You're the greatest."
Wait a minute, you got out easy.
I was wondering. It was the greatest. We backed that van up. We walked approximately 14 feet with the two-wheeler. We were done in about 15 minutes.
You didn't even break a sweat.
We didn't, but we had 3,000 pounds of books in the van in about 20 minutes.
Did you spend the night in St. Louis and get some nice barbecue or ribs or whatever, catfish?
You know, we wanted to get home. It just, St. Louis wasn't, I think we're definitely going to go back to St. Louis. It looks like a really cool town. But we didn't spend time there. On the way back, we did stop at a certain holy site on the way back known as White Castle, and we did pick up some burgers on the way back.
Awesome.
For the freezer.
That's good.
Because we don't have White Castle.
So wait, you did St. Louis to Cleveland in one
We did. We
drive.
did one fell swoop. It was about an 8.5, I think, 9-hour drive.
Well, that's not so bad.
I think I drove, I don't know, maybe I think I was maybe 67 miles per hour the whole time.
Yes, I'm certain that's what you drove. And there were no blizzards and no oncoming traffic in your lane.
It was beautiful.
The flatlands.
Simple and easy. And then last week, Lori and I decided to go to, I had outstanding appointments for a year now in California. So we flew to LA. We had a beautiful 2-night stay in Pasadena, 3-night stay, and we picked up about 4 pallets of books in the Los Angeles area.
5,000 books.
Now, a quick little story about that. So one of the stops was at a woman who was approximately 94 years old. Spry, very sharp woman, living in one of the most exclusive neighborhoods in the Los Angeles area. Very cool, very kind lady. Her husband and I, again, we were in conversation for a long time. He's an author. He's a well-regarded physicist. I want to keep this as generic as possible. Anyway, the fine lady was showing us a tour of the house, and Lori and I were stunned at the view of the Pacific Ocean. We said, "This is a gorgeous house, my lord." And the woman said, "Well, we bought this house 48 years ago, and we paid $40,000 for it." I said,
view of the Pacific.
Yeah.
Oh,
I said, "That's amazing." And she said, "And yes, somebody recently told me that today this house is worth $200,000. So at that point, I almost pulled the company checkbook out and bought the house. But I said, I'm not that kind of person. I said, excuse me.
It's probably worth at least 250.
Yeah, I said, I think it's worth several multiples of $200,000 more than that. Mm-hmm. And before you do anything on this house, please contact a good real estate agent. And she was a little taken aback by that. But I want to be honest with these people. I don't want anybody thinking, living in some sort of dream world.
Yeah.
Lori and I left, and I reiterated that on our way out to her again. I said, so there are people that prey upon the elderly.
Do yourself a favor.
And do yourself a favor and get a good, honest agent. So Lori and I Zillowed it, and that neighborhood, guess what the average home price in that neighborhood is? And they're all the same kind of home.
My guess is going to be $800,000.
That's low. The average home price in that neighborhood is $1.7 million.
American dollars.
American dollars.
Oh, my God.
So hopefully this lady is doing her due diligence going forward and not just taking the words of some whoever that was.
She should liquidate, sell the joint, and then enjoy the next 20 years of her life as she sees fit.
And by the way, she did seem fit. And she probably could live another 20 years. This woman was sharp, limber, and she was all right there.
You didn't have her load the books up, though, did you?
Did not. They did have one of those things that goes up the stairway. Escalator
those
things.
are around.
But I think that was for the husband. Yeah, she was limber. So I think that's about it. I don't know, we talk enough about books?
That's for the next episode.
All right. Yeah. Well, we had a good time.
Nice. Thank you for listening. Remember, don't buy from bookjackers and buy books at zubalbooks.com.
Yeah, when you think books, think Zubal. And if you don't know what a bookjacker is, go online and Google it and find out what it is, because they're bad.
Take care. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Brothers is copyrighted by Zubal Books and recorded at Zubal Books headquarters, located at 2969 West 25th Street in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio. You can find us online at www.zubalbooks.com. Music provided by the Slap Jazz Quartet.